Most people will tell you when you're bulking, focus on getting as big as you want to be, then focus on cutting all the way down and getting as lean as you want to be. Then spend a few months there and then bulk back up. And of course, this is an effective way to maximize muscle growth when you're bulking and to maximize fat loss when you're cutting. And this follows on from the first law of thermodynamics, meaning that when you're in energy surplus, you'll be storing net energy, and when you're in energy deficit, you'll be losing net energy. But this does cause some confusion. This makes people think they can't build muscle when in an energy deficit, and this is not the case. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you on how you can actually build muscle in an energy deficit. So make sure you stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to yet another video. So the main reason I wanted to do this video was because I see a lot of people just completely taking their foot off the pedal in terms of resistance training, in terms of building muscle, and they'll transfer the focus to doing cardio when they're trying to get lean. And I guess that's mainly because they feel like they just got to burn as much calories as possible, and obviously that they can't build muscle while they're losing fat, so there's not much point of doing resistance training. Anyway, something along those lines. I haven't actually asked every single person I've seen do this, but I'm assuming that it's something along the lines of that. Anyway, we've got to first look at fat and muscle as two separate systems. They're two separate systems in the body, so you can actually lose fat while building muscle, providing you're doing a progressive resistance training program and you're eating enough protein. So obviously, provided those two things are in place. Some people just kind of neglect the protein when they're losing fat, and they also neglect the resistance training because, like I said, it's probably due to the fact they think cardio, burn calories. I know I've quoted this study quite a lot recently, but it's been very relevant to what I've been talking about. And this is the 2016 study by Longland et al. Looking at 40 individuals. So they split those 40 individuals into two groups: the lower protein group, which consumed 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight of protein, and the higher protein group consuming 2.4 grams per kilogram of body weight. Both groups went through a resistance training program plus some cardio, so in the form of HIIT, so HIT, so high intensity training, and supramaximal intensity training, something along those lines, is SIT, S-I-T. And after 4 weeks, the high protein group lost fat and built muscle. The lower protein group lost fat but didn't really build muscle. So this is showing you that they're doing both at the same time. And this was in a 40% calorie deficit. That's a significant calorie deficit. Some may argue that there are reductions in the two main drivers for muscle growth, mTOR and protein synthesis, when in a calorie deficit. And there is research to support this. But that same body of research found that when resistance training was done and a protein feeding of around 15 to 30 grams post-workout, these reductions were basically gone. So there was no reductions in mTOR and protein synthesis. So it's not something you have to worry about. And this also is not something that every single person can benefit out of. Say if you're like 12% body fat, you're not going to benefit out of losing fat and building muscle at the same time. You haven't really got that much body fat to lose. So three main people can actually benefit out of losing fat, like building muscle in a calorie deficit. So those people are newbies, so like someone that's been training less than 2 years, let's say, and someone that's got a lot of body fat to lose. So someone that's got a lot of body fat to lose will be using body fat stores to fuel muscle growth at the same time as well. And also if you're detrained, or well, detrained meaning basically you're coming off an injury or you've just had loads of time out of training, this is also something you can do. Think about it as a body recomposition, because that's what it is, but not a maintenance level, actually in a slight deficit. I'll get to the deficit very shortly, but there's two things to maintain. To actually be able to do this effectively. First of all, you've got to be having enough protein. Aim for 0.8 grams to 1 gram per kilo of body weight. And also, you've got to make sure you're not crash dieting, not going to some extreme deficit. Even though I showed you a study where they used a 40% reduction in calories, I wouldn't suggest going less than 20%. I'd suggest starting at maintenance, then reducing down to no more than 20% and seeing how your body responds in terms of the way it looks, rather than just a scale, because you may not lose a ton of weight on a scale, especially if you're adding muscle and losing fat at the same time. But remember as well, newbies, so within your first 2 years of training, you're actually going to benefit the most out of this. So if you're just getting started with the training and you've got a ton of body fat to lose and you don't know what to do, I suggest doing this approach. So focus on that progressive plan and focus on a small calorie deficit while getting in enough protein. The other macros are, I wouldn't say irrelevant, but up to you, personal preference. Just making sure you're getting a decent amount of carbohydrates at least to support your energy. Anyway, that's all for this video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a massive thumbs up. Be sure to share it with a friend. Comment below if you have any questions at all on this topic or any other topics to do with building muscle or losing fat, or doing both at the same time, or if there's any future videos you want to see. And also, if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, click that subscribe button now. Turn on those bell notifications to be alerted as soon as I post a video in the future. Until the next video, keep pushing those limits.